Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brady. This is Be All In Sports. We are here again to break down the UFC Fight Night Covington versus Buckley upcoming card this next weekend. Um, it's going to be a decent card. I'm kind of excited about some of these fights. There's some that, could do without, but on the overall, it's not a bad card. Kind of excited about seeing this. We did have a really good card this last weekend. Had some huge successful bets. If Thimba Garimbo would have come through for us, it would have been almost a clean sweep. But hey, we get what we get. Most of the other calls were pretty spot on. I think I was I want to say 9-5 on my overall picks. So pretty good haul for this last weekend. We'll see what we can do this weekend. Always hope for that clean sweep, but hey, it is fighting, so we never know what we're going to get. But we'll get right into the picks for UFC Fight Night, Covington versus Buckley. Again, pretty pumped about this one, but we got this first fight right here, Piera Rodriguez versus Josephine Knudsen. I'm Piera Rodriguez right now is sitting as the plus 185 underdog and minus 225 for Knudsen over there. I realize she's been up against some pretty stiff competition in the UFC and obviously has the experience edge when it comes to the UFC. But this matchup to me kind of, I look at these two along the same lines. I think they're good in the same areas. I think this fight is going to be pretty equal. And to me, when I kind of look at both of these, I Piera Rodriguez is a little bit on the mean side, man, and I just think that I think that dog's going to come out a little bit more in her this coming weekend, and I think this opening fight is one that I'm going to be targeting the underdog. I'm going to go Piera Rodriguez in this one, but my official bet for this, and I will put an official bet on this, it hasn't actually come out yet. I haven't seen any lines on this come out in DraftKings or FanDuel yet, but I'm definitely going to put in over 2.5 on this one. I think it's a very, very solid bet. The last 5 fights that Knudsen had, she is not finished. They've gone all to decision. Rodriguez is pretty much the same way. Was finished by Jillian Robertson by armbar, but other than that, she's not finishing people. Knudsen's not finishing people, so I don't look for this fight to be a finish. I would be safe in saying in my mind that a good bet is for this fight to go the distance. You're probably going to get some pretty extreme odds, so be ready for that. But it might be a really good parlay piece. That over 2.5, I think, is a really good parlay piece if you want to put it with something else that you feel confident with as well. But yeah, that's I don't have a lot to say on this one because that is the way I'm going. I'm going Piera Rodriguez, the underdog in this one on the first fight. Next fight. All right, in this next fight, we have Davey Grant taking on Ramon Taveras. I'm going to go Taveras in this one. Look, I understand that Grant's a decent boxer, but look, he is also 30, almost 39 years old, and I can't trust that age. Anytime I see that age in a fight, I know that there is some times when I will pick, the fighter that's a little bit more experienced, and which Grant definitely is. Not going to say that, but and not to say that I've been overly impressed with Taveras' wins here recently. Him winning against City was nice. That's a good win. I think he ended up getting that one back because I believe when they fought in the Contender Series, he got dropped pretty quick in that one. So obviously the knockout possibility is going to be there with Taveras, but overall, I don't think Davey Grant's going to have the tenacity or the dog in him to get this done against Taveras, and I think Taveras is going to be on him from bell to bell. And I think eventually that he is going to be able to get a finish in this one. I think his boxing is a little bit cleaner, even though Grant is he's a good boxer. I just think Taveras is a little bit better right now in his game, and his age, I think, is obviously we've seen him go the distance. We know the cardio is going to be there. Grant's is as well. So I think this is going to be a pretty good fight, but I'm going to lean towards Taveras, and I do have him in a parlay right now that kind of put in early. And to be quite honest with you, the odds, if I would have waited, like I always tell people to do, wait until you see where these odds are going to go a little bit, because it's sometimes a little bit different than you think it's going to be. I would have gotten better odds on Tavares and my other piece of that parlay, but overall, maybe I'll put that one in again just to get better odds, because I still do think that parlay plays out the way I think it does. So who knows? I might double down on that one, but I think Ramon Tavares is good to go on this one. I think he's going to get this win. And like I said, I do have him. He's one of my more confident right off the bat when you see a pick and you kind of think, yeah, I think this is going to go this way. This was one of those immediately for me. So sometimes these work out, sometimes they don't, but I'm going to go Tavares in this fight. Next up, we have Miranda Maverick taking on Jamie Lyn-Horth. I went back and forth with this one a little bit. Jamie Lyn-Horth, I picked her in the last match against Machado. And, I'm not Machado. I made a mistake on that name there. Who did she? Bear with me. Veronica Hardy. I thought that she was going to end up getting that match, but turned out a little bit different. But the Petrovic match, I did pick her to win that match, and she did get that one done. I don't think she's a bad fighter in any means. I just think that I don't think she's going to be as good as Miranda Maverick. I think Miranda Maverick's takedowns, the way that she's constantly going forward, constantly trying to get the takedowns and get this to the mat, I think is going to be a little bit too much. Jamie Lyn-Horth is not the best I've ever seen at stopping takedowns, and I don't think that she's going to be able to stop the volume of takedowns that she's going to see from Maverick. Maverick's gone up against some pretty top-notch competition in the UFC so far, so I look for her to continue this little win streak that she's on right now. I believe she's not got a bad one going there. What is it now? 3 fights. And, when you're losing to Jasmine Jasdavicius, I'm not going to blame you on that one. And when you're losing to Erin Blanchfield and Macy Barber, those are top-notch women in your division. So you can't falter for those losses. And I think that she's just continually getting better. I think she's going to be better than Jamie Lyn-Horth, even though she is going to be at a slight size disadvantage in this one. I think the wrestling is going to be too much. And I think this one obviously is another one that could go to decision. So a good bet for me would be Rodriguez and Knudsen over 2.5, and Maverick and Lyn-Horth over 2.5. I'll probably end up putting that in just because most of these matches, I think that Lyn-Horth is good enough to stay out of submissions on the ground, and I think she's good enough to defend herself. Same with Maverick. If it goes the other way, I think she's good enough. If she can't get to the ground, I think it'll stay standing. And there, I think you're just even more likely to get a decision no matter which way it goes. So over 2.5 on both of those fights, I think would be a good parlay. May put that one in, but in this matchup, I am going Miranda Maverick. All right. So this next fight, maybe I'm buying into the hype just a little bit on the Lima side here, but we got Miles Johns taking on Felipe Lima. I got to go Felipe Lima in this. He's training over at All Stars. Some good fighters are coming out of that gym. And Miles Johns, yes, he's got more experience in the UFC, obviously, but the wins that he's got, I'm not overly impressed with his competition against with the people that he's winning against, and he is losing against the competition that I'm more impressed with him going up against. So, in this matchup, I just gotta go with the side that I think Lima's going to be a little bit quicker. I think he's got the better striking. I think even though Johns has good takedown defense and good takedowns himself, I think he can be a little bit hesitant sometimes to pull the trigger on some shots. And I think he's a little bit hesitant in his striking. So rather than have him just kind of constantly walking him down with Lima, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think Lima is going to be able to walk him down, possibly get a takedown. And from there, Lima's dangerous on the ground. He's kind of dangerous everywhere this match would go. So, again, maybe I'm buying into the hype here, and I'm not actually sure if I want to necessarily bet this one yet, because I do think the odds are a little bit far for me to just jump on Felipe Lima. But I am kind of behind in the hype, and I think that he is going to get this one done. So I am going to go Felipe Lima here. I'm gonna say that this one's gonna go the distance as well. So Lima by decision is my pick. Now this one right here. Now this one is the fight that I am very interested to see. Sean Woodson taking on Fernando Padilla. Padilla looked really, really good in his last fight. Sean Woodson continues to look good. He's very, very rangy. He uses his range well. He's got good stand up, very solid on the feet. And in this matchup, he usually has a big size advantage in his matches. And in this one, he is not really going to have a size advantage. Barely anything as far as a reach advantage goes. I know he's well-rounded. He is a little bit older. He's 5 years the senior here in this matchup, and he is on a 4-fight winning streak. But at the same time, I think Padilla just had a hiccup in his loss. He went to decision against Kyle Nelson, which is definitely not a great look. He did come back he had a Darce choke submission finish over Louis Puello the last match. And he's had some decent matches. He faced Julian Erosa, Nate Richardson, and Cameron Graves. The competition has not been the greatest, but he does have some knockout power there. I think he's going to be the more powerful of the two strikers. And in this matchup, yes, Sean Woodson could just lay back and sit there and piece him up. But usually we see Sean Woodson able to do that against fighters that are not as tall as him, to where he's got a reach advantage and a range advantage. In this matchup, he's really not going to have that. And Padilla can make it a dogfight. Padilla's got some dog in him. So in this matchup, I'm going to go the underdog on this one. I'm going to go Fernando Padilla. I think he gets it done by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a kind of like a shock knockout. But I do think that this one's going to be Fernando Padilla for me. I was thinking about making this my underdog of the week pick, which I still may. I'm going to come out with those a little bit later. I'm just doing the full breakdowns right now, giving you my picks, and I'll come out with another betting breakdown coming up later. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Padilla on this one. I'm going Padilla. Next up, Drakkar Klose taking on Joel Alvarez. I'll tell you right now, I'm all over Joel Alvarez in this one. I don't know why. I'm just not a big fan of Drakkar Klose. He's gotten better over the years and more entertaining. He puts on some good shows when he fights. I don't know why, but he's not a fighter that I'm very interested in seeing. He's got good wrestling. His stand-up is getting better. I think it's going to be levels below what Joel Alvarez is as far as striking goes. Alvarez is a clean, very slick striker. Not much for the takedown. So this could be a matchup that we see Drakkar Klose being able to take this down, get it on the ground, and control him. But I don't really look for him to have much success. Even if he does get it down to the ground, I think he's going to be in complete danger. I think he's always going to be facing the threat of a submission. Joel Alvarez is constantly looking for subs and is very, very slick. And usually the people that do end up taking him to the ground, he ends up having a lot of success against those and usually gets the job done. So I don't know if Klose's best method of victory here would be to take it to the ground. If he feels like he can keep top control on him and stay heavy, maybe, but you're in a dangerous spot anytime you go to the ground. And I think he's going to be in a dangerous position if he tries to stand with Joel Alvarez as well. Alvarez looked extremely good in his last matchup. So I think he's going to keep the momentum going. He doesn't have a lot of losses right now. I think he is the better fighter in this matchup, and he's got a size advantage and a reach advantage as well. So I think he's going to be able to use all that combined to his advantage, and I think he gets this one done. So picking Joel Alvarez to get this one done. All right, so this next one. Now, look, I just told you in another breakdown that every time I see an older fighter taking on somebody that's younger, I always look at it, and in most cases, I will take the younger fighter. In this case, I can't take the younger fighter. After watching the tape and going through this a little bit more, Michael Johnson, even though he is 38 years old, almost 39, I just think he's gonna be the better fighter in this. I think he's gonna be slicker. I think he's a better stand-up. He's better on the feet. Azaitar, I'm not too impressed with him. I think he stands flat-footed, and obviously he hasn't been in the octagon in 16 months. That's, to me, that layoff is gonna do nothing but hurt him. 34 years old. I know Johnson's getting up there at 38, and he has been through some wars. He's taken some big knockouts. The time before this, when he was facing Diego Ferreira, that was a brutal knockout. So for him to come back and get a win against Darius Flowers the way he did, I think that shows a lot for just kind of the fighter that he is. He's always going to come out there swinging, going to put on a show. And I just think he's the faster, better striker. And I don't think that Johnson's good at takedown defense. So I don't think, even though Azaitar wants to get it to the ground, and that's his main method, kind of make it a dogfight, I don't think he's going to be able to do it against Michael Johnson. So I'm going to take the old guy in this one. I'm going to take Michael Johnson to get it done in this. This may be one that I think I could see a knockout happening on Johnson's side, just because he likes to go out there and bang. But I think it's another one that's going to go to the distance. But I wouldn't be surprised if Johnson could get this done. But then again, anything can happen in fighting. And as I'm telling you that Johnson could get it done, Azaitar on the other side is highly dangerous. If he connects, he could put him to sleep as well. So my pick is Johnson, though. I'm going to go Johnson to get this one done. Next, we've got Navajo Stirling taking on Tuco Tokkos. Tokkos is he came in, I believe he came in on short notice to kind of fill in on his last fight, which, let me see, he last went up against Umar Sai, where he did lose in that one by rear naked. So I think he was a fill-in, though, a late notice fill-in. Before that, it's almost like he's been a journeyman through the circuits. And to be quite honest with you, looking back at the people that he's been up against, the people that he has lost to are not that bad. They're pretty impressive. The people that he's winning against are not that impressive and not that good. So in this matchup, not that I think Navajo Stirling is necessarily ready for a huge step up in competition, getting to the UFC, that Contender Series fight. I wasn't overly impressed with him. He's got decent striking. He's slick. Obviously comes from a good gym with the City Kickboxing crew. So I'm just looking at this. The one thing that worries me is that he's going to have no takedown defense, and that's going to be Tokkos' main method of victory here. He's obviously not going to try and outstrike him. I don't think he's going to win a striking battle. The one thing that I'll say about Tokkos, too, is he's also training at Kill Cliff. I like fighters that train there. It's a tough gym. There's a lot of good fighters there. So you got to think that he's getting in good training with his training partners. But at the same time, you got Stirling, who's over there at City Kickboxing. And you have to be working on your deficiencies, which, to be quite honest with you, we don't know exactly what they are yet until we see somebody test him in the grappling area more than what he was. And he didn't do that bad when he was tested. So I'm going to go with the newcomer. The UFC seems like they're in the mode to start pushing some of these guys a little bit more. They need those new faces. Stirling could be one of those new faces coming from City Kickboxing. Obviously has the training partners and the push from them. So I kind of look at this as the UFC setting up a fight. They're bringing in somebody they think he can beat, and I do think he can get the job done here. So I'm going to go Navajo Stirling to get this one done. All right, we have Daniel Marcos taking on Adrian Yanez. I think this is screaming dog to me all day long. I have not been overly impressed with Marcos since he came into the UFC. I know what fight was it? He did have one fight that I think he looked extremely good in, and that was the fight against Castaneda. He looked good. And Simon Oliveira, he definitely, watching that fight again, he was definitely the aggressor in there, and he did look good. His leg kicks look good, but man, Yanez has been in there with some top-notch competition, and I think that he is going to be the more skilled boxer here. I think he's got the chops. The one thing, if he can avoid the leg kicks from Marcos and the clinches and keep this standing, I think he's the better boxer. I think he's faster, and I think he puts out more power in his punches, to be quite honest. I think he has a lot of skill advantages over Daniel Marcos, and Marcos is obviously undefeated, and I hate taking fighters that are undefeated like that. I think there's a couple iffy wins that he's got in there already, and I think that he is kind of in this sport. I think you're due when you get to a 16-0. Eventually, I'm going to look for you to lose. You got a target on your back at that point, and Yanez is definitely the type of person to take that target and demolish it. So I'm going to go Adrian Yanez to get this one done. I don't necessarily see a finish. I see this as a volume play. I think he's going to be the better striker, and I don't think it's going to be one that necessarily is going to get to the ground. If it does, I think he'll pop right back up and get it done on the feet. But I think he's going to do some damage. I think it's going to be a bad day for Marcos. I think he will take his first loss. Adrian Yanez to win this one. All right. Dustin Jacoby taking on Vitor Petrino. I got to go Vitor Petrino, the young animal, 27 years old, and Dustin Jacoby's 36. Obviously, I've already told you that I do look at that as a factor. I think that's a big factor in this one. Jacoby's got a little bit of size, just an inch size advantage on him there. But Petrino still has him in the reach. I just think Petrino is going to be able to get this done in more ways. Jacoby is a great striker, but he's been through some wars, fought Khalil Roundtree. He's fought Azamat Mirzakhanov. He did win against Kennedy Zachukwu, but then he lost against Alonzo Minifield. That's not the best look to me. And you're losing to Dominic Reyes, which, yes, Dominic just came out. He is kind of having a career resurgence. But the way he was able to get Jacoby done, not too high on it. I don't think it was a good look. And I think Petrino, being that he's coming off that loss where he stuck his neck right in Anthony Smith's guillotine, and it was not a good night after that. He went to sleep, and Anthony Smith got it done. Did not expect that, but in this one, I'm pretty confident in the pick. I think Petrino gets this one done. I think he's going to be the more powerful striker. I think he's going to have some speed advantages, and the durability is definitely going to be on his side as well. He's not out there. He hasn't been finished. So I'm going to side with Vitor Petrino to get this one. I think if I had to choose a way that he's going to get this done, I honestly think he's going to possibly get knocked down and then into either a ground and pound or submission. But I think Vitor Petrino is going to get this one done before the bell. On to the next. All right, next up, Manel Kape takes on Bruno Silva. I went back and forth a lot with this matchup, and to be quite honest with you, I am still not very confident in this pick. I am going to side with Manel Kape. When I went back and I started watching the tape, Bruno Silva, I think, has a definite advantage when it comes on the feet as far as being the aggressor, more aggressive. Manel Kape, to me, can get stuck sometimes, just kind of taking his time a little bit too much, not putting out enough volume. And I think that is the one place that Silva could actually get this one done. And that is why I've been back and forth on this. And I will put out another follow-up updated video with picks and give you some more bets. But right now, where we sit, oh man, this one's tough. I got to admit, this one's got me a little bit confused. If Kape comes out there and fights like he can, I think it's going to be Kape. I don't think Silva, even though Silva's got extreme punching power, Kape is a hard person to get out of there. And I feel like he fights to the competition. If you're taking your time and you're being slow and reserved, he's going to be slow and take his time and be reserved. If you're going and you're coming at him, he's going to be forced into a firefight. And I do think that he is actually pretty good in a firefight. He is very quick. He is a quick striker who has very, very quick reflex skills as far as making sure that he gets out of the way of punches and can counter strike very, very well. Silva, if he gets him to the ground and can manage to control him, that's a possibility. But Kape has showed that he is very, very hard to keep down as well. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's very hard to get down to begin with. So as much as I want to go Bruno Silva and make him one of my underdog picks, I think he's a very good fighter. I got to stick with what I'm seeing. Manel Kape, I think, is just going to be a little bit better in this one. This would be one of those that I would look, maybe you're even looking like a split decision on this one. I think it could be a split decision type win, because I think it's going to be confusing in some spots for the judges when they see these two. Kape might not be doing a lot, but he may land the bigger shots and may have more damage. So it could be one of those that plays out that way. Silva, just a little bit more volume. Kape, just a little bit more damage. Be whichever one the judges go with in that range. It's a toss-up. You never know. So I am going to go Manel Kape in this one, though. All right. The co-main event of the evening. And you may not want to listen to me in this one because I am going to be biased. I'm a Cub Swanson fan here. I like Cub Swanson. I've always liked him. I think he's an excellent striker. I think he's good in a lot of different areas. He's got good takedown defense. When he gets to the ground, he's well-versed and knows what he's doing on the ground. And he's shown that he's willing to slug it out. He'll get in dogfights. He never stops. I know that he did get stopped. I believe Jonathan Martinez was the one that stopped him with those leg kicks. And I'm not saying he hasn't lost fights and hasn't been knocked out or, finished in fights. But overall, I just think that this is a fight that he can get done. I think this is a very winnable match for him, even though, he is the older fighter out of these two. It's not by much. He's not, we're not talking about a huge, huge, huge advantage here. Billy is 36, Cubs 41. So there is a difference, but in this range, I think that Cub is going to be the more skilled striker. If he can maintain and not let Father Time catch up to him in this match, I just think that he can win this match. He's not at a reach disadvantage. We all know and have seen how good Cub Swanson can be in the striking department. He can get knockouts when you're not expecting him to get the knockout. And in this one, this may be one of those matches, although Billy Quarantillo is very, very tough to get out of there. So I don't think it's going to be a finish. And if there was a finish, I would honestly be more inclined to say that Quarantillo would be more advantageous in getting that finish. But in my mind, straight ahead, it's Cub Swanson. I'm going the underdog, Cub Swanson. I think you're getting him at a good price. I think they're judging his age more, and I think he can come out with some fire. And I do think that this is probably going to be his last fight. So in this case, knowing him and how he fights, I think he'll give it his all. And I think this will be the last time we'll see Cub Swanson. I think he will hang it up after this one, but I think he's going to go out with a victory. I think I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets it. I'm going Cub Swanson. All right. This next fight. Now, for any of you Colby Covington fans, forgive me now, because I'm just going to go ahead and tell you how I feel. I hate this piece of shit. I cannot stand Colby Covington, and there is absolutely – so you can stop listening to me now if you are going to pick him. I try to be unbiased in this, and to be quite honest with you, I don't think that he's going to win this match anyway, so this isn't a hard pick for me to pick against the piece of shit. I think I don't think he's that good. I think he's fought high-level competition, and he always seems to make excuses like a little bitch afterwards, saying why, this and this and this, why it didn't happen, why, yeah, whatever. When I just think he's got one method of victory, and that is to stick his face in your dick and try and crotch sniff for the entire amount of time. I think his striking is lackluster. I think any decent striker would beat him. And I think that Joaquin Buckley is a dog. I think he's an animal. And when he comes to fight and gets it done, I think he can beat a lot of guys in this division. And Colby Covington is on his way out. I feel he's got maybe 2 more excuses in his lame ass before we just see him completely exit the stage. I'm not impressed with him. I think he's boring to watch. His fights suck. And I think the only reason they don't suck is if somebody kicks his ass. And I hope that Joaquin Buckley absolutely kicks his ass in this one. So there is my pick in this one. I'm going to go Joaquin Buckley. And I don't necessarily think that he's going to get a finish. I think this is a fight that will go long. But yeah, I just can't take I even if I lost $2,000 on this, I just couldn't take this scumbag. I hate him. Don't want to see him win. Will not root for him. Will not bet for him. Will bet against him because I think he's a piece of shit. And hey, sometimes bias gets into the breakdown. But I honestly, even if I wasn't biased, I'm not impressed with his fighting style. I'm not impressed with his skills. I think that Joaquin Buckley is going to be the better fighter in this one. I think he's stronger. I think he's going to be in there with more tenacity. And after the match, I don't think he's going to be telling you, that he won if he didn't win like he always does. So I think Buckley's going to get this one done. That's my pick in this one. But that is my breakdown for Covington versus Buckley, the whole entire card. If you've enjoyed it, definitely hit the like and subscribe. Sorry if you're a Colby Covington fan, but I can't stand him. That's the way it goes sometimes in the fight game, and we all have our favorites, but I'm sure that there's plenty of other agreeable fighters that we can both rally around and root for. So I hope you've enjoyed this breakdown. I'll come back and I'll give you some of my best bets, my picks for this weekend as far as the betting lines go. And I am doing a live this Saturday, so I will be on to give you all those. We had a good time this last time for those that joined me. We'll be back again. Again, after the weigh-ins, I always try and update this. I might give you a pick flip. You never know how I'm going to go. So keep watching for those pick flips if it does happen. As of right now, the one bet that I will tell you that I have in, and I just put this in the other day, I didn't get as good odds as you would get right now if you put this exact same bet in, which is very frustrating, but it is what it is. That bet consists of a 2-leg parlay. Let me pull it up right here so I know, make sure I'm not telling you wrong. I picked the 2-pick parlay of Ramon Taveras. I told you I was pretty high on him, so I'm going to go ahead and go with what I'm seeing. I think he's the better boxer in this one. I think he fights with more tenacity. I think he's got the dog in him. Ramon Taveras is my first pick, and I'm going Joel Alvarez as my second pick of that parlay. I realize Joel Alvarez, everybody's picking him. Yes, it is a safe pick, but sometimes the safe picks are the hardest ones because it's like Vegas is making them calls. But that's my 2-leg parlay. I got this at plus 127. When I looked before I came on here, if I would have waited, I'd get plus 135 now. I still feel pretty confident again in this. I'm not going overboard on this card. I will tell you, there's some fights that I like. There's some over-unders that I kind of like, but I don't think I'm going to go crazy on this fight card. It's the last one. I think it's the last one of the for a couple weeks. So, I might change my mind when we get closer to the card, but as of right now, I'm going to kind of hold back, try and make some better calls with my bets and see if we can just cash in this weekend. But that's the ultimate goal always. I hope you've enjoyed the breakdown. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe. Help this page grow. I'll continue to give out my picks. I'll continue to give out the best bets. Hopefully we nail this stuff and turn Vegas down very, very quickly. We will see you soon. Enjoy hanging out with you. We'll see you again soon. Keep balling, people. Peace.